So what's up? How you doing today? We are going to take a look at They Love Each Other with a focus on how Jerry and Bob's parts work individually and how they kind of weave together. It's a real simple tune on the surface, but of course, there's always those intricacies of how they weave their parts together. So let's get into it. We're going to look at the verse, break down what's going on, do the same thing with the chorus, and if you stick with it, we're going to check out some solo ideas for Jerry's approach. But let's listen to the verse, and then we'll see what's going on. So first off, the intro part is just hanging on a G, right? And then when the verse kicks in, it's just G, and then it goes to C, back to G, right? That's it in a nutshell. But, of course, they're not just strumming G and C, right? So let's start off with Bob's. I always like to start with the foundation, first, and then we'll get to the Jerry part. So if Bob is here on the G, right, he is often playing more like this. And, of course, this is always just a guide. This is always a little different. And especially different time periods. The early one was really fast. We're going to look more at this slower version it kind of evolved to. But he's playing more just this top here, and he's sometimes playing more like a G6. He's adding this E right here, going. So you can just put it there with your pinky, just take it off real quick. And then sometimes he does this. I put this in parentheses, which is more the Jerry thing. Sometimes he's doubling that up, and sometimes not. And that's just playing in thirds, going from C, C sharp to D. You can see it's just this part of the chord. You play it like this. Right? And then sometimes he plays this C down low here. And if you put that together, make it part of it, or see it all kind of works. It's just like, it's almost like going at like an F. When you do the whole thing, it sounds a little funny, right? But just take pieces of it, and that works. And that's a big part of the sound right there. That's like the big key to it all. It's just that slinking thing right there. And that brings the point of, no matter what I show you here, the main thing is getting the right feel. And that's a hard thing to just magically get, and it's a hard thing for me to just say, oh, this is what it is. You can't even really put it on paper. You can't at all. It's about how it sounds, how it feels, you play it, and this has got that real slinky swing kind of feel to it. And just keep that in mind. Like, don't focus too hard on the notes, chords, and that kind of stuff we're going over. Make sure you're getting that feel, that rhythm. That is really the number one thing, So he's got that going though. That in mind. For the G, then we get to the C. Sometimes there's the same thing of that C6. So just the same little shape up here. But then, I forgot the part right here. He goes, sometimes doubling that up with Jerry, going. And that's going this like part of a C to that G, but often, sometimes just doing it like that, but then sometimes holding this down, hammering this down, so you're in that minor third. Gives you a little more, that little edge, that little bluesy sound, right? And then, back to that C, right? So sometimes like that, sometimes he'll do just this part of the C shape here, sometimes here. That's why I put some of these in parentheses, that I don't think this is the way to do it, this is the way Bob did it, this is the way you should do it. It's just options, right? I mean, we could go crazy looking at all different types of things. That's a whole nother topic of really getting, super thorough with our chords. But a lot of these are triads, these little small versions, these 3-note versions of chords. What the chords are all kind of based off of. So if you know them, just try out any of these, right? And that's the gist of it for Bob's part. But let's check out Jerry's part, and that is now playing for the intro. This thing right here, which he does over the verse as well. We're just going back and forth octaves, right? Going with G, and like that, like I said before, that feel, that percussive nature. If we just went, that would not be it. It's very short, like that, and then he's always hitting up that. And I like to, I'm not sure how he did it, but I like to use my pick and my finger, because if you do just the pick, it certainly works, but hear that? You kind of can slap, don't even just pluck it, but like slap it like that. And it gives you more of that sound, more of that little kind of percussive nature. And the same thing with right here. So I've got. And you can even throw in just muted strings in between to get that percussive sound. So more. To kind of play that up. And then when he's getting up to the verse on the C, he's getting it often right here, again, can play it anywhere. And then we'll often play some little fills. And the whole song is just in the key of G mixolydian. Although you could say it's the same as C, and over the C it's focusing on C. So however you want to think of it. But you could just think of it even right here, just like that little simple C major pentatonic thing right here. So you're on here. You could throw in that note right there, and then back to that part there. And that's the gist of the verse, plus that little intro, which is just hanging on that G. But let's give the chorus a listen to, and then we'll see what's going on with that. So now we are going over F, C, G, right? It's doing that 3 times, and then it hangs on the G. And this is like probably even less distinct parts for each of them. It's more, they're kind of just weaving in and out. And then again, that's the beauty of it, of just having these intricate things, of especially when you get to play with another guitarist and you know them really well, you start to really develop an intuition. And, for Bob's parts, he's just playing, just triads, outlining the stuff. So maybe one time he's up here, F, C. Sometimes you come back to this, but this raking. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but kind of like, don't just play the chord, but just. So this is something that he would do a lot in the kind of late 70s, raking chords. Right? So maybe he's going like this, F, C, up to this G here, which is really that top, same as that there. And, that's it. And then when it goes to the other thing, he's either doing that or he's doing that again. But for Jerry's part, he is, he's just playing more down here, F. Again, it could be any ways, but I heard him play it like this a lot. Just sometimes open C, open G. But here's a really cool thing. He's doing this, and that is the same thing as this, but it's inverted. So this note is up an octave. So this note is here. So I've got now here, and this is up higher there. So you can hear like that. And if you want to know more about things like that, it's called inverting thirds and sixths. I've got a video all into that. It's something that I love to do in my playing a ton. And I think I'm basing it off of, I want to say I Shall Be Released, but that's it. Not it. Another Jerry Garcia band cover. I can't think of it right now, but I'll put a link in the description down below if you want that video, if you want to get more in depth into what is going on with inverting thirds and sixths. Sitting Here in Limbo. That was the tune, yeah. It works great. You know, Jerry would do that a lot on that tune as well. So that gives you that very musical sound by just inverting the thirds right there into sixths. And then he's, back to... And that's it for that. But let's give a listen now to the solo. And I decided to stretch this one just to do the whole thing. Sometimes when I do my backing tracks, I'm playing it, and I pick little clips for these videos because it'll just highlight things. And, there's a bunch of different techniques that we're going to look at that I'm focusing on that Jerry would do himself. But I decided to put the whole thing in here because I want to really drill it home. A lot of it I'm just doing over and over. I'm recycling these ideas. The only thing different is I'm getting a little higher up as we go along. But I want to put this whole thing in here, goes through it 3 times, the verse, chorus, and let's see if you can figure out what kind of things I'm focusing on. Just kind of listen to it and see what kind of comes out, anything you notice, and then we'll talk about it and see if you notice any of the same things I'm going to talk about. So right out the gate, the big thing here is Jerry does this a lot with a lot of solos, of course, but this one in particular, this tune, plays the melody. Just very simple, that vocal melody, that. Sometimes even just throwing that, So just really get that down. And I got another video if you want to learn the vocal melody. I'm not going to go into it right here, right now, but I have another video. I'll put a link in the description below going over an arrangement I came up with that's really just highlighting a lot of the things I've talked about so far. Just playing the melody through the whole tune, through the verse, chorus, but throwing in third, sixth, inverting them, all kinds of things, different chords. So check that out if you want to learn the melody. But that's the first big thing, is the melody. The second one we want to know is playing the thirds and sixths again. So getting more in depth with that. Which again, got that video down below too if you want to get really into that. Here's 6, 6, Same thing, but playing in a different spot. Right? And then also when you're on the C chord, I was doing it a lot on the C chord. Hit the C chord. Here's our C. Here it is in 6. Here it is in thirds. And I was mixing up back and forth, and that really highlights when you're on the C. And the same thing for F. So thirds and 6. So we got melody, thirds and 6, and the idea of inverting them around stuff. And then the third thing is focusing on just the chord tones in general, just the arpeggios, you know, whatever you want to think of it, just outlining that stuff. So when you're on G, don't just be thinking of just G, you know, Mixolydian, but thinking about the notes of that chord, which you can just take the shapes you already know. Right? And then you can do, okay, with C. And you could be going along right here. And the melody. You know, and then you get up here. And then you go. You're starting to take shape and outlining the chords. Just do it real simple. And of course, I got another video that goes over that more in depth, focusing on Catfish John, another Jerry Garcia band cover. I'll put that in the link in the description down below if you want to get more into how to really outline your chords and not just be playing with one scale. So the last thing we're going to focus on here is chromatics. So that is, if you're playing right like this, is playing notes outside the scale, especially playing that minor third right here. Here's your major third, B flat to a B. But throwing that, you could throw it in just a note below any of them. You know, going up to C. Throwing in a bunch of them, yeah. You can see it's like, oh, that just sounded like the end of the thing there, right? Going across a C, back to the G, and I just threw in classical Jerry thing here, chromatics, the notes between stuff, outlining the chord, and then outlining the G chord, and so you can kind of hear it in your head as it's moving. And if you want to get more into depth with that, of course, I've got another video on that. I'll put a link in the description below, based around sugary and adding chromatics with that tune in a very, very simple way. And so if it's new to you, that's a great video to get an approach to that. So if that is all helpful for you and you want to know more, check out some of the videos down below. And if you want to try out the bob parts I have on Patreon, one of my exclusive videos there, the backing track, the video for it, and the MP3 without the bob part, you can try it all out yourself, plus the PDFs that go along with this and backing tracks and everything for all my videos. So if you're looking for more, check it out in the description down below. And if you've got a guitar with you right now, you just want to try this stuff out with the regular backing track, check it out right here and have fun with it. And I'll see you in one of the next videos.